Among the ruins of real-life history, Alton Towers have some of the scariest themed roller coasters ever made in a theme park. Secret weapons where you can find yourself in a forbidden valley, home to an alien creature, stepping into the dark forest, where you better not go alone, or heading into the sinister, futuristic government facility of X Sector, where you might find yourself smiling always. You may even become a sacrifice to the Wicker Man, as wood and fire is combined. Then, there is Spinball Whizzer, a roller coaster that was once themed to Sonic the Hedgehog and is perhaps the scariest theme of them all.
It looks like it's going to take us longer than we thought to get spinning again.
After the 1985 season, 5 years after its debut as a theme park, Alton Towers will be voted Britain's most outstanding tourist attraction. Since the Corkscrew, the country's biggest roller coaster, had become a household name, the park had steadily expanded year by year, its owners investing over £50 million into the park. Now with 5 main areas, visitors could find themselves in an unrivaled leisure experience full of rides, restaurants and shops.
I'm international too! Henry the Hound of the Towers, otherwise known as Hank. Henry has a rather aristocratic ring, don't you think?
From Fantasy World and the Black Hole, Festival Park, Aqualand with the world's longest log flume and the new for 1986 Grand Canyon Rapids, to Talbot Street, home of Around the World in 80 Days. There was something for the whole family. For young children, the park aimed to add even more. Over in Talbot Street, Adventureland 411 would be home to smaller versions of rides just for kids. The other addition in 1986, just right of the grand entrance, would be the Kiddies Kingdom.
Naturally, it's a children's paradise. There are even specially designed areas just for little ones, like Kiddies Kingdom, where trained staff give mums and dads a breather while the youngsters have the time of their lives.
Costing £250,000, Kiddie Kingdom would feature a mini assault course where children could experience attractions like Tarzan Run, Biff and Bash, and Cookie Mountain in the purpose-built fun and play area. Again, in 1986, with the new additions, park attendance had increased to 2.25 million visitors. Kiddie Kingdom would mostly remain the same over the next few years, and it wouldn't be until Two Swords took over the park that the area began to change. Kiddie Kingdom was split in 1996 when Storybook Land took over some of the area. What remained of the original land was named Adventureland, and in 1997, the Gallopers Carousel and the iconic Beastie moved into the area. All remaining original play equipment was replaced in 2002 when the area became known as the New Adventureland. The location's largest change would come just a few years later. The Gallopers Carousel would move back to its former home, now called Cred Street, to make way for the park's newest roller coaster, perhaps its scariest themed yet. While most eyes were on some tree clearing in Ugland for what many hoped would be a new coaster, in July 2003, it was announced that Adventureland would be home to a new addition. Construction began right away after the announcement, and the new attraction would be created by German company Maurer, who began as a steel manufacturer before opening its first roller coaster in the mid-90s. Spinning roller coasters have been extremely popular in the past, with multiple operating during the early 20th century. These wooden models, known as the Virginia Reel coasters, had riders spin freely in tub-style seating on a track similar to a side friction roller coaster. It wouldn't be until the 90s when permanent spinning coasters began to become popular again, now made with steel track. Maurer wouldn't be the first manufacturer to create a spinning roller coaster, but they would offer one of the better versions. The company would offer a selection of different models in different sizes, all designed for different purposes. The standard layouts offered, used for smaller parks or traveling versions, started with the SC1000, or the compact spinning coaster. This one offered a very tight, portable experience of 787 feet of track with a 30-foot drop. Stepping up a size, you had the SC2000, which could come with or without a steel base for easy movement. This version would be 1,410 feet long, nearly double the compact coaster, and feature a 51-foot drop to add a little more thrill. A few notable versions you might recognize were at Camelot Theme Park, Hersey Park, or Spider at Lagoon. Crush's coaster at Disneyland Paris is a slightly modified coaster of this version. The third choice would be the non-standard SC3000, which would be known as the custom coaster. This would take spinning coasters to the next level, and Maurer offered custom designed layout that could be adapted for any theme park, indoor or out. While the versions differed, each of these would use the exact same train. The standout feature of the company's coaster type would be the cars. The S-Car spinning design offered a different experience for every ride. The spinning cars can seat 4 people and use a pivot bearing between the passenger car and the undercarriage, converting the centrifugal forces generated in curves into rotational movement. 2 passengers sit back to back, and the cars are designed to limit exposure to uncomfortable levels of stress during turns, while also giving every rider a front seat view. The amount of spinning depends on the distribution of passenger weight and the layout of the track, while using a centrifugal brake to make sure the rotation speed remains pleasant and safe. The cars were designed and tested under strict EU laws and could operate up to a speed of 50 miles per hour, with forces able to reach as high as 3.6 Gs if desired. For Alton Towers' newest coaster, they would choose to go with the non-standard custom SC3000 model with a regular lift hill.
Is faster, higher, wilder all you want? Or would you like something a little more imaginative? Like Alton Towers, for instance. With a real castle, lots of parks and a fantastic variety of theme worlds, it's just the place for a very special attraction. The spinning roller coaster SC3000, custom designed. All the fascination of roller coasting with a unique movement concept realized by Maurer Amusement Rides.
The company still consider it a 3000 today, though after the creation of the ride, they would offer it as an all-new stock option, the SC2200 model. After Alton Towers' version of the coaster opened, Maurer would attempt to sell it as a standalone new model. None have ever been sold, other than the original, and Alton Towers coaster remains the only SC2200. Though, really, I guess it's still an SC3000. You can be an SC2200 Spinball when there is another.
The extended spinning coaster 3000 proves that to be more attractive, amusement rides don't have to be higher, faster, wider, or more expensive. All you need is custom designed excitement for a broad target group. From Maurer.
Alton Towers would theme their new ride in Adventureland around a giant pinball machine. The difference here was that in this case, you would be the actual pinball. You might think, oh, this isn't scary compared to a dark forest or an alien, but I disagree. Being a human pinball slamming into those ever-hitting bumpers over and over makes Spinball one of the scariest themes ever made. 2004 was the year of real horror at Alton Towers, with being turned into a pinball, or across the way, that terrifying duck.
Advance book an unforgettable day at Alton Towers from just £18 and ride the new Spinball Whizzer. It's flipping crazy!
For once, the theme and what was coming was not going to be a secret, with large advertisements for the new coaster appearing at the site during the 2003 season. The coaster took its first test runs on January 28, 2004, with the ride stalling multiple times during its first few weeks. Spinball Whizzer opened at Alton Towers, the park's newest roller coaster, on March 27, 2004. The £3.5 million ride was closed shortly after. Chessington would also be getting a custom-built SC3000 model the same year. Both Dragon's Fury and Spinball Whizzer failed their initial safety tests. After some slight modifications, Spinball Whizzer reopened in May 2004. To celebrate the opening, an online pinball game was created featuring the park's rides, and it was launched along with a competition to win a 10-year Alton Towers annual pass. If you did win that annual pass, it would have already been expired by now. While expected to feature a good amount of theming, during construction the budget of the ride was shrunk, and it had a somewhat lackluster appearance, with a loose pinball theme and signs were placed around the attraction. The real horror of being a human pinball was mostly left up to the imagination. The soundtrack of the area originally consisted of classic Americana songs, and as you entered the queue under the pinball scoreboard, you wound your way through the area passing interactive games allowing you to press buttons. And after quite a long wait, you would head into the station, where you would hear a sound as iconic as the Nemesis roar.
Woohoo! What a ride! When we get to the station, please exit on the right-hand side. Thank you for riding on the Spinball Whizzer! Woohoo!
Over and over and over again.
Woohoo! What a ride!
Every time a train pulled into the station.
Thank you for riding on the Spinball Whizzer! Woohoo!
Right next to the queue.
Woohoo! What a ride!
Where you were slowly waiting.
Woohoo! What a ride!
Patience definitely was required, and this made the ride experience even more terrifying.
Thank you for riding on the Spinball Whizzer! Woohoo!
After you hear the exit ride audio at least 600 times, you entered the themed station. Once seated and secure, the silver cars head out past a ball in play sign and up the 56-foot tall lift hill, depending on how you turned either forward or backwards, and quite quickly into the first spiral drop. Unlike the majority of traveling Maurer spinning coasters, the vehicles began to rotate straight away. The real highlight of the layout would be the imposing Immelman, which was not only one of the most iconic elements while you're riding the ride, but also for those watching. The helix towards the other end of the ride, if you've got a good spin, is another great part of the attraction. The layout is a decent length and a fun family thrill coaster. The slow throughput doesn't help the queue, but Alton Towers had a solid attraction on its hands, along with their most terrifying yet. As long as you did imagine being a human pinball. After a few years of steady operations, in 2009, it was rumored that a new spin on the attraction was coming, and that it would be rethemed and renamed. To what remained a mystery. One prominent rumor was that it was going to be moved behind air. Some even believing it would be moved inside the black hole tent or was heading to Fort Park. Spinball Whizzer had received its fair share of hate for its location and color choice, and these were mostly just wishful thinking. The bright spinning ride could be seen when looking towards the towers and was quite the contrast. Eventually, it was rumored that the ride could potentially be rethemed to feature an iconic video game character. No, not Mario. Sonic was coming to Alton Towers.
Hey there, and welcome to Sonic Spinball. I hope you're all ready for some high-speed fun. I just can't wait.
Spinball Whizzer would become Sonic Spinball, along with a Sonic the Hedgehog themed hotel room at the resort's hotel. For 2010, Alton Towers would add 13 retheme Ugland to the Dark Forest, including Rita, sort of, move the iconic corkscrews to the front entrance, and would retheme Spinball Whizzer. As part of a 3-year partnership with Sega, Alton Towers had a new spokes Hedgehog. Inspired by the 1993 Sonic the Hedgehog pinball game, the supports were repainted a darker Sonic blue and the track rails a bright red. Various Sonic the Hedgehog objects were added around the existing theming, with the most photographed being a statue of Sonic himself by the entrance. The ride remained basically the same, with Sonic stickers added around the area, on bumpers, and on each silver car. Newspapers reported the testing of the ride was to be slightly delayed, due to Sonic himself hopping on and taking rides in the morning. No, not the blue hedgehog, but a grey squirrel, nicknamed Sonic by the ride's operators, who had seen the little squirrel riding the roller coaster as it was testing in the mornings. Really, newspapers just picked up on a PR stunt that Alton Towers was a big fan of at the time. The squirrel, though, was eventually banned. He wasn't fast enough. Sonic fan sites were invited to ride the attraction first, see the hotel room, and meet Sonic himself. The ride reopened on February 13th, 2010 with the new theming additions and updated audio. The overall reaction to the Sonic edition was, it's fine. It had a nice paint job and new audio, which was less draining to hear over and over in line. Plus, Sonic is pretty cool. After 3 years of Sonic spinning around Alton Towers, with riders feeling the rush, the deal was extended another 3 years. Over those years, Sonic Spinball began to look a little worse for wear, with people climbing all over and on top of the Sonic statue, often breaking it. After the end of its 6-year sponsorship run as Sonic Spinball, and with fan outcry over the design style of the Sonic statue, no, wait, that was the movie. The promotion was removed and the ride returned as Spinball Whizzer once again. And it did get a new soundtrack from Imascore. You could now, again, get launched into a pinball machine. The horror had returned. With a small amount of new theming in place, it didn't take long to remove the Sonic branding. Though, even today, if you look out while you're on the ride, you can still spot some remnants from its Sonic years. The tale of Spinball Whizzer is one that blazed into the park as a family thrill coaster that has gotten more than its fair share of hate over its time at Alton Towers. Many compare it to its sister coaster at Chessington and think Dragon's Fury is miles better. It's also often said that Spinball is a shadow of the larger, more thrilling coasters at Alton Towers. But even Dr. Eggman would agree that the ride is just pure fun for the family. While the park didn't perhaps knuckle down hard enough to give it the theming it deserved, and it certainly isn't the cream of the crop of coasters around the world, a good theme park has a mix of experiences, and Spinball Whizzer's silver cars have spun round the track, offering a great ride experience for over 18 years. It still is always worth a spin. And hey, you don't even have to pay an extra £15 to ride it. Take that, Enzo. Since opening, Spinball has sat in Adventureland on its own with an out-of-place theme and location. But look deep and you will see the true horror theme at Alton Towers is one of a human pinball. You won't convince me that being a human pinball isn't terrifying, especially when it's masked as a kid's coaster. As it ages, how long Spinball will remain is unknown, and I for one will be sad to see it leave when it does. It is a ride you can't help but get off smiling every single time, one that is different every single time, and Spinball Whizzer is packed full of its own charm.
Just made it.
As Sonic remains as popular as ever, Sega has had quite a sizable involvement with themed attractions in England. Outside of Sega World itself, over a decade before Spinball would be branded with the Sonic name, Alton Towers had another licensing agreement with Sega. Sonic would be quite the regular at Alton Towers. You could even call him a pass holder, but for that tale, we need to head into the toy factory. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Expedition Alton Towers. Let me know if you would like to take an expedition looking at Toyland tours, or an Expedition Extinct on Sega World. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe to join the expedition. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and now TikTok for updates on upcoming episodes. A special thank you to our Patreons for supporting the channel, and we will see you next time.
Thank you for riding on the Spinball Whizzer! Woohoo!